Good morning, good evening, good afternoon for wherever you're calling in from for this amazing conversation that we're going to have on Authentic Conversations. Today, my guest will be Howard Berg. But before we get into Howard, I want to share a little bit about who I am and what I do, and if you're interested. So, my name is Adele Bernard. I'm from Transition Clarity, and I'm all about walking you home, and more importantly, walking men home to themselves. I run men's circles and individual sessions, and I also have an individual private session for 90 days. What does this mean to be walked home? It's you're doing your work, you're doing the inner stuff that's coming up, or the shadow work, or the inner child, yet you're feeling a longing. There's more to life. For the men, it's the ache in their heart to be more than just the provider, to go to work and come home. They're feeling disconnected to their family, to their partners. There's, you know, where are they able to share that deeper connection? And with the work I do and the tools I have, it's clearing away those conditionings, the belief systems, the what's keeping you stuck from moving forward. And this life is supposed to be lived to the fullest, the best joy, the highest laughter, the deepest love. And if I resonate with you, and if you want to know more about the programs, I'll have it all in the notes for you. And more importantly, why I started Authentic Conversations is I'm meeting these amazing people that have gifts to share, and it just aligns with why I'm here. And so if you like what you hear today or on another podcast, please subscribe, share a comment, share with your friends. And yeah, so a little bit about our guest today, Howard Berg. He is the world's fastest reader. He has a technique that's different than other speed reading. His philosophy is about teaching you how to learn and comprehend, not just read fast. It's about bringing the words off the page that you can actually embody them in your body and understand what they mean. And with that, it's my great pleasure to bring on Howard Berg. So, Howard, welcome to the show. So glad you could come.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So, in the intro, I said, like you have a different system to speed reading, and I that's what one of the things that I was attracted to you about was as a person who always struggled with learning in school. I think your approach is wonderful,
Thank you.
right?
Well, the way speed reading's normally taught, it really doesn't work. Yeah, you remember the name of the book the next day,
Yes.
maybe, and who wrote it. You're not learning. And even
Hmm.
if you're remembering, it doesn't help. Like you could read a calculus book and remember every formula, and you could plug numbers into every formula and it would be right. But give you a problem to solve that needs multiple formulas in the right sequence, you would have no idea which one to use or how to use it or where to apply it. It's understanding meaning and significance
Hmm.
quicker. That's what people want. It's not reading, it's understanding and being able to use information. And I'm focused on that rather than just speed. It turns out you can read 100 to 400% faster with very good comprehension, retention, and understanding. But it's not just from reading, it comes from a variety of systems I've integrated that work together as a whole system.
And that's what I kind of picked up from you was that it wasn't just about the reading. It was like, how are we embodying it to understand, to be able to use it in everyday life?
When you need it.
Yeah,
When you were in school, you studied on Thursday, you tested on Friday, and by Saturday, you had no idea what you learned. If they told you at graduation, imagine even at college, before they gave you the diploma, there was one last quiz that they don't tell you. Name all the teachers and courses you had in the last 4 years. No one would get a diploma.
yeah,
Who remembers what the teachers' names were and even the names of the class, let alone what they taught?
yeah.
So it's all short-term learning. You learn for the test, you test out, you get your grade, and you dilute it. It's gone. You have no desire to retain or recall it, which is a tragedy because you actually can I give an example?
Absolutely.
So I majored in biology. In my senior year, I also did a 4-year psych program in 1 year. So I did a lot of science. I took 6 science courses at once. And one of the things you have to take is electives. So as a science major, I took theater. And I'm like, what are we going to do with theater? We're going to have an amoeba production and show people the dancing amoebas. I was like, what a total waste of my time. And a theater course, what's a biologist or a psychologist going to do with a theater course? Well, fast forward, I'm in my 40s and I get called by Nightingale Conan to do a program and they want to run an infomercial. There's no script. There's no rehearsal and there's no editing. There's an interview. They talk to you for 28 minutes and 30 seconds precisely. And whatever comes out, either it works or it doesn't work. Well, it made $65 million. And how did I know what to do? Because I had a theater course. I knew how to present myself on television, how to speak, how to pace myself, where to look, how to make it interesting. That's what I learned in theater. And who would have thought a theater course, which I thought was boring and had no use, would help me make $65 million. I'd say that was a pretty good payoff from a course I didn't want to take. And often in life, that's what happens. Things you never thought would matter, you'd never use it in later life turns out to be a game changer. And
Yeah.
so it's really sad that people don't remember what they've learned. I'm fortunate I do remember. I remember learning to talk and learning to walk and learning to eat. I remember my crib. I
Mm-hmm.
remember my bottle. I thought everyone did, but I
No.
was told that's not common. But I actually do remember my crib and the bumpers and the little bird things swinging around. I thought that was normal, but apparently that's not your typical memory. But yeah, I remember I was about 1.5, 2 years old on.
So that brings up a different question that um did you have a different brain from the beginning?
I think I
Because
did.
you remember these things that you were able to go from a teaching career where I'm sure the kids loved you,
Most of
right?
them.
Well, because you came in and you met them, you saw them, and that's very important. And yet you said there's more. They could be learning, not just memorizing. They could be
Right.
embodying, not just
Yes.
regurgitating.
I owned a school before we taught subjects, before we taught math, before we taught English. We taught how to learn, how to
Hmm.
understand. And my students typically finished high school with 20 to 40 college credits. No one who started in junior high finished high school. That sounds really bad because they graduated college before they got out of high school. They didn't need a high school degree. They were college grad. And they were graduating 16, 17, 18, had master's degrees at 18 and 19 years old. I'm talking like a master's in math at 19 with all A's and one B. That kind of learning. And the reason was they learned how to think. That's what school. Can I tell you a funny school story? You
Yes.
discussed it earlier. So I'm working in a school in Brooklyn, very violent. I mean, my interview literally was teachers get killed here. Do you want the job? That was my interview. And yeah, I'll work. Yeah, I know Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. It's violent. It's very violent. So I'm in this the first day, and the assistant principal says, remember, if you don't control your students, they could kill you. So, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. So I walk in the room, and I had a couple of classes went pretty normal. Then comes the special kid. You have one in every school. So I'm teaching, I'm in the front of the room. The door is diagonal for me. There's no way out of this room unless you go through the kids. And this kid, the size of Shaq, the basketball player, he's so big that I'm looking at him, my eyes are level with his neck. So I'm looking, this kid corners me diagonal from the door. And he
Yeah.
looks me in the eye and he says, you're a white MF. I won't use the word
Yeah.
he used, but you can extrapolate. You're a white MF and I don't like you. And he's enormous. He's just enormous. So I looked him in the eye and I said, who you calling white? And he totally cracked up laughing. And he said, I like this guy. He's cool. And we never had a problem. We were friends. I
Hmm.
said, I won't be here either. I said, I need a job to make a living. There are a lot of other things I'd rather be doing right now, just like you. So let's make the best of it. I'll try to make it fun. I'll make it interesting. And we don't have to suffer. We're stuck. You're stuck. I'm stuck. We'll be stuck together, but we can have fun being stuck together. And that was it. And they liked me because I was honest with them and I made it interesting and I made it fun. I didn't talk down to them. I
Hmm.
had a funny day. I walked in my room and no one was there. The room was empty. Now I'm like, am I in the right room? So I take out my schedule and like, it's Wednesday. Yeah, I look at my yeah, it's Wednesday. It's 2 o'clock. Yeah, it's 2 o'clock. I go to the outside, check the room number. Yeah, that's the right room. Nobody's here. And I'm the only one in the room. It's supposed to be 38 people. Like, where is everyone? The next day they came in. I said, where was everyone? They said, it was the first nice day. We all went to the beach. I said, why didn't you tell me? I like the beach.
We could have had class
We
on the
all got to
beach.
the beach, right? Why did you leave me? And that's why they liked it, because I was fun. I made it interesting. If you treat them with respect, you have a sense of humor, you can teach them because
Yeah.
they like you and they're interested and they're learning because they find you interested. They know that you're there to help them and not hurt them. And that's how you handle students in that kind of environment. And unfortunately, there were a lot of schools where I grew up that were that violent, very violent. I had knife fights in my class. There
Yeah.
were gunshots in the hallway. It was like the movies. It was West Side Story without the dancing and music.
Okay, so that gives me the different question of that's not just Brooklyn. I
No,
mean, that is across all countries,
I didn't
right?
know that.
Yeah, like I mean, yes, predominantly you guys have more shootings, more tragedies, but you also have bigger schools, bigger like, the volume's bigger, so of course the crimes are going to be more. But and I said earlier that, like I I'm in a town that is known as Cowtown, right? We didn't have trauma. Yet, even in my day, 40 years ago, whatever, there were police in the schools. And I'm like, for what? Like, I didn't go to that school, but my friends were going to that school. And I said, what's wrong with you guys in this school? And this is what was really interesting. So that was where the first of the diet fads came out, right? In the 80s. And my friend was giving another friend a bag of the diet drink. They got called into the office for dealing cocaine.
For diet drink?
Well, it's the powder, right? She had it in a baggie, handed it to
Oh,
the
oh,
friend,
oh
and someone
goodness.
squealed on them saying they're dealing cocaine.
Uh,
And I'm like, it wouldn't even have come to my mind, you
well,
know? And
my school, they wouldn't have reported them. They would have asked for some.
well, but that's the thing, right? It's like,
Yeah.
so I want all teachers who are sticking it out in the school systems, wherever you are. Thank you. Like,
A hard
um,
job. It's not
it's
an
a
easy job.
super hard job.
People don't realize they get summer off. You know how many of them have nervous breakdowns and physically are exhausted by it? And it isn't like you go home, then you go to college to get your master's or doctorate degree, and
Mhm,
you're marking tests and making lesson plans, and you're in school and you make next to nothing, and you
mhm.
pay for tuition for college out of the next to nothing. And it's a really, really hard job. People do not think of all the kids that you cross the street so they won't hurt you. And now you're locked in a room with them all day and you can't get out. That's a teacher. You're in the room with all the kids that everyone else is running away from in the street and the door's locked and you're the only one in there. And that's exactly what teaching is like.
And you're also sometimes the first person to care, the
Depends
first
on the
person to
teacher. Depends
actually,
on the teacher. Yes.
you
And I
know,
did care. I cared a lot. I tried my best to help them as
mhm,
best as I could. I mean, I couldn't make up for all the trauma they had when they left school. My average student was dead before 30. That was just the way it was. They didn't live past 30 in that environment. They were shot or they overdosed. But that was the reality. It's hard to wrap your mind around that, but I'll give you, like, I was teaching reproduction in one of my classes, and a 16-year-old student comes up and says, I'll be good at this. I got three babies. Oh, I'm like, she's 16 and has three, but not a baby, three babies. So I'm like, she's been pregnant since she's 12, 13, maybe. And I said, well, that's why she doesn't do her homework. If you had three babies, you wouldn't be doing homework either. And it's hard to put you. And then I asked someone in the guidance department, what's the story? He said half the girls are pregnant and they were raped by their father or their brother. So that was the world that I was teaching in. And
mhm.
you're trying to teach science to a kid who's being raped by a family member on a regular basis. It's not an easy job, and it's not easy to be that kid either. So
Well, but kudos for her to come to school.
yeah, at
Usually
least
they
she
get
was there.
pregnant, you
Yeah,
never see
yeah,
them
she was
again.
trying. She was trying.
Yeah.
And I met them where they were. I didn't talk down to them. I didn't belittle them. I had fun. I made it interesting. I used my theater class. I made it entertaining. I sang, I told stories. And then when they were laughing, I'd say, now we're going to learn about bacteria. And because they were having fun,
Yeah.
and it was interesting. Now I can teach them something because their brains would have been like, I don't want to learn this. But they're like, hey, this guy's fun. I'm having a good time. And you'd show them something useful and they would remember it because they were having fun when you taught it. And that's how you have to teach these kids. I call it edutainment. Half the time is getting them in a state where they could. The first thing, I was a swimming teacher for 18 years with the Red Cross as a volunteer. The first thing they taught us was the law of readiness. It's not taught in ed courses, but it says you can't teach someone to swim who doesn't want to learn it. The
Yeah.
first job is to make them want to learn. And until you get to that point where they actually want to learn, they aren't going to learn. And
Hmm.
how do you get them to want to learn? By making it interesting and fun and edutainment. Now their brains are waking up, they're having fun, they trust you, you're interesting to them, and they'll listen to what you really wanted to do in the first place. But you couldn't do that until their brains opened up and said, oh, this guy's interesting. Let's see what he has to say. It's work. It's a
It's work.
skill, but they don't teach that in college. What they taught me is if they're not behaving, tap your eraser on your pencil on the desk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are they teaching the Kennedy kids in Hyannisport? Tap you already. You could shoot a gun off in the class. They wouldn't know you did it. It was so chaotic. I said, that doesn't work. These people have never been in a classroom
Yeah.
with real students. I says, what you need to do is gain their respect and make it interesting enough that they'll connect. And that's how I teach everything. Even in my learning program, I focus on make it fun so people don't get bored by a professor talking and talking and talking. You make it interesting, you make it fun, and then their brains open up and say, okay, what do you got? And they're ready to learn. And the average student go 100 to 400% faster,
Mhm.
remember it, understand it, and be able to use it when they need to. And we could talk about how that works if you'd like.
Yeah, we will get there. And I just want to say, like, I had a teacher who in grade 10 was saying, "Oh, you guys are all worried about your college and what college you're going to go to and what are you going to be when you grow up, right?" He goes, "I want to give you a life lesson that you I want you to hear." And he was always a teacher that provoked us to think differently. And he says, "I watched my father go to work every day for 40 years. He got the golden handshake, right? He comes home. The first month, he's getting up, getting ready, starting the day. The second month, he started, noon, he might have a shower. The third month, he was no longer there. He had nothing to live for. He says, the career is great. If you don't have something outside of that career, your life ends here. And I was like, ouch. But it's
You're right.
true.
True. I'm be 76 next month. And I'm building new companies and I'm making new programs and I'm learning new concepts every single day. I'm not thinking about what I did.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about what I'm doing now and how it'll build into the future. You can live in the past, you've already ceased to be. You're just a memory, or you can focus on your future and evolve to the next level that you
Hmm.
are destined to have. But it's all a matter of choosing where your mind goes. Are you going to focus on what your opportunities are now, or dream about them, or or think about what they could have been? Doesn't The only thing that makes change is action.
Yep.
And the trick is right action. How do you get right action? You learn. These are real books. I've read
Yeah.
about 30,000 books. You learn information that will take you to the next level. One book on something you dream of doing doesn't mean you know anything. Maybe they didn't know and got lucky. Bad things happen sometimes by fluke. 10 people doing what you dream of doing that tell you how they did it, that's a business plan. Now
Yeah.
you've got 10 different people showing you, and you're like, they all did this.
Hmm.
And 9 out of 10 did this. And and you're like, and it worked. It worked. And now you have a plan. I'm going to do what they all did. They all got successful doing this. So the downside is supposed to be, how many read 10 books? When I'm done, I had an 84-year-old read 3 books in 3 hours. 84. So it isn't like, oh, I'm so old, I'm 50 or I'm 84, 3 books in 3 hours, and remembered it. So it's not an age thing. It's about what do you really want from your life? Are you willing to learn what it takes to get what you dream of doing? And if you are, you can have an incredible life. You won't make more money working more hours
No.
or working more jobs. That's what people do. And what happens? You burn out. You're working days, you're working nights, you're working weekends, and after taxes, there isn't a hell of a lot left.
Because they
But
take it all.
they take everything. The only way to make more money is not to work harder. It's smarter.
Yeah.
Learn a new skill that pays more. So let's just say you're making 20, $30 an hour. Decent money, and not everyone even does that. But say you're getting 20, $30 an hour. Now you're making 150 to $300 an hour. Now you're making more money in less hours, and you
Yeah.
have more time to do things you really would rather do. And that's because you learned how to do something different that pays more. and gave you freedom to do other things. And it's not a magic trick. So how am I going to do that? Well, think of how many hours people watch ball games.
Hmm.
How many hours they watch football, baseball, soccer. What if you took that time to learn a new skill, to learn how to create success? How different would your life be? So you have a choice. You could sit and watch somebody throw a ball and kick a ball and hit a ball because
Hmm.
time is time. That's your time. Do what you want. Or you could use that time to learn how to be more successful and have a better life. But don't complain about where your life is. If you're sitting there watching someone throw a ball and someone else went out and learned a new skill, and don't be jealous of their accomplishment. That could have been you, but you made the choice to sit back and watch other people succeed instead of yourself. Those are choices we all have. There's only 24 hours in a day. Bill
Hmm.
Gates reads a book a day. Warren Buffett reads a book a day. Elon Musk, he's the richest man in the world. Whether you like him or not, he's the richest man in the world. He reads 2 books a day. Look at
Hmm.
their bank account. Now look at yours. What are they doing you're not doing?
Hmm.
And that's the answer. They're learning and they're constantly staying in front of the other people competing with them. Is that what you're doing? Or are you watching people throw a ball, catch a ball, or and that's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to
Yeah.
do. It's a thing, but it isn't going to make you money unless you're the guy hitting the ball or
Yeah.
throwing the. Yeah, those guys are making a fortune doing it, and I respect them for that. I have nothing against it. But if you're the person watching and you're saying, "Why don't I have anything?" Well, that's the reason. You're not using your time to change your life. You're using
Well,
your time to watch someone else.
I know, but even in the last, I'd say, okay, 30 years, they've even said if you want to play football or soccer or whatever sport you're playing, your grades have to be at least a average. And you can't farm it out to the smart kid to do it for you.
Well, they
And
do some of.
well, but they're stopping that though, right?
I
Because
would hope so. It's not. It's disrespect. Can I tell you a secret? I worked with the new one of the New York Knicks at the Knicks training area. I'm trying. I don't. I'm trying to think of his name. He was a very famous basketball player. He told me something interesting. That the average professional basketball player works 2 years and their knees burn out. All the jumping and running, and he says you see a handful that stick it out. You know, that are there for a decade or more. But he says the majority of the people you never hear of, they work for 2 years and their knees go, or their feet go. They have Achilles heel, something goes,
yeah,
and now they don't have a skill. A lot of them, they
I didn't
spent their
realize
money
it
on
was
it.
that short.
They spent their money on an expensive car or play because they were making really good money. And now they don't have any income and the money's gone and they really don't have any skills because they didn't spend time in school learning something they could use. He says, I got a master's degree at George Washington's University. And I looked at his
Yeah.
wife, she had a diamond ring the size of a golf ball on her hand. And he was one of the successful ones. He said, but one of the biggest challenges the league has, the basketball league, they have one guy and his job is trying to help these poor young people who burnt out. And he says, it's the majority. He says, 80, 90% of them, 2, 3 years, and they're gone. Physically, their bodies couldn't take any more punishment. It's very hard to do what they do.
But
And
even Tony Robbins said that. He says, "You think I'm bouncing around this stage, running around, whatever? You know the toll it takes on my body being the size that I am? Like, I'm not a small guy. So every time I put my foot down, it ricochets up to my head."
I can relate to that because I do that. I do a lot of live programs, and yeah, when I'm on stage, I'm on fire, and I go back to my room and I'm exhausted. I just collapse.
Hmm.
It's like you gave all you. It's like a star that exploded. You gave out every ounce of energy you had to the audience,
Hmm.
and now you go back and you are done. You go to sleep.
Yeah.
You can't do anything 'cause you have drained all the life out of your body, but you gave it to your audience, and that's
But
what
it's
good.
also, but it's also like as a speaker, and I've seen this because I've worked with a lot of speakers, is that they feel they need to hold the energy of the crowd. And most do. But I'm saying in the Tony Robbins group, he'll have 50 people around the edges holding the energy so he doesn't have to. He just can deliver. And it makes a different dynamic to the room.
Interesting. That's an
Yeah.
interesting.
So that's my side of the work. They hold the energy so the speaker can just deliver. Um, so it brings me back to, did your parents see that you were different growing up?
Um, I think they saw. I wasn't like the other kids. They all had the heroes of the average kid where I grew up was baseball players and football players. My hero was Leonardo da Vinci and Newton and Albert Einstein and Benjamin Franklin, who was in that league. He was in. I mean, no, he invented central heating, bifocals, the flipper. Of course, he was a diplomat and he
Hmm.
was a statesman and a writer and an author and so many, and a philanderer also apparently. It's a funny story, but the reason America won the revolution is Franklin was sleeping with all these French women and they were friends with the king and he got to see the king through these romantic liaisons he was having and they opened the door and the king and his navy was the reason that the Americans won. They couldn't have done it without the support of the French. So Franklin's libido played a major role in
Well,
winning the
but
revolution.
then that brings me to, it's the feminine rising. Don't negate the women.
No, no, it's a shame because in so many places women aren't even able to express who they are at all,
Yeah.
and it's you think of how many Madame Curies there might have been in a more progressive culture.
Well, and it's also they're also the quiet supporters, right? It's like the old saying, for every strong man, there's a stronger woman behind him.
I believe it. My wife's very special, and
Hmm.
I could not do what I do without her help, and I acknowledge that. She's my inspiration.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it's my second marriage. My first marriage was a storybook marriage. Unfortunately, Stephen King wrote that book. So I know the difference. I thought happily married was an oxymoron. You could be happy or married, but at the same time, it was
Yeah.
hard to. I am now. So I think if you choose, I was too young. If you choose the person you should be with, it makes all the difference in the quality of your life and what you do with your life. If you have the wrong one, it's very difficult to achieve goals because it's draining. It's very draining. And the nice thing is she met someone and she's happy. We're still friends. It
Hmm.
was just a mismatch. That's the way I see it. We were too young. We made the wrong choice. And I needed to make her happy and be miserable, or she'd make me happy and be miserable. And no one was happy.
Yeah.
Now we're both with compatible partners and we're both happy. So you don't need someone else to be miserable to be happy. Too many people, particularly when they have a bad relationship, um, they thrive on the pain and suffering of the other person. And your joy shouldn't come from someone else's pain.
Hmm.
There's enough joy in the world. Everyone could be happy, and you don't need to wish bad on another person. Work on your own pleasure and success. It's a better
Well,
use of your time,
and that brings us back to meeting people where they're at, right? Like if you show up in love and kindness, you're going to get that back. It might come as a weird way, like that student showed you, but
right?
you guys respected each other.
And I
You had
liked them
you had your
legitimately,
two words together and then you left friends.
and I liked them. He liked me. I legitimately liked him. I mean, I understood where he was coming from, and I acknowledged it,
Mhm.
and we moved on.
Mhm.
And from that point on, we never had words. And in fact, if someone would talk while I was teaching, he said, "You be quiet while Mr. Berg's talking." He was my protector. He kept the other kids in line for me.
Yeah.
Biggest, strongest kid in the class. So
Yeah.
he was the alpha male. And if the alpha male said, "You be quiet while Berg's talking," they got quiet.
Yeah.
And I was grateful. I don't know. I appreciated what he was doing. It helped.
Yeah.
And he felt good about it also because I showed appreciation that he took the time to help. That's the way you run a classroom successfully.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to go back to your elective that you didn't want to take. Do you think your God led to that?
I didn't hear the question.
I
You,
said, like, when you think about taking that drama class that you didn't want to take, do you think you were led by God or spirit or like saying, take
I
this
think
because it
there's a
will help you?
destiny. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Um, I think we're kind of guided. We get the choice to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Doors are in front of us. You can walk through the door or ignore the door.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ignore the door, the opportunity that was given you doesn't materialize. So I'm a risk taker. I've been on about 3,000 shows. Some of them are difficult, like Howard Stern. They were very caustic. And if you go on a show, that could happen. And you,
Yeah.
you have to be prepared for that possibility. It doesn't mean you don't do another show. That's just like you have a bad day at work. People have bad days at work. That doesn't mean you quit your job.
Yeah.
You learn from the bad experience and you move on. You could be fixated on the problem. That's important. I want to talk about that for a second because one of the most important things to be successful is to ask the right questions. If you're asking, why am I a failure? Your brain will tell you, you're lazy, you're stupid, you're ugly. It'll go down a list of reasons that you're a failure. And that will do absolutely nothing to fix the problem. What you should have done is said, how can I be successful?
Mm-hmm.
Because your brain could do that too. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have to be very conscious. It's called the meta program, what you're thinking. When you're studying, you're saying, this is stupid. I don't want to know this. Then your brain's hearing, don't learn it. And guess what? You don't. And then the
Yeah.
next day when you need to use the information, it's gone. You're like, why can't I remember? I studied so hard. You said, I don't want to know it. So your brain says, fine, we'll forget it. What if you said, how could I learn this faster and better? And I'll teach you a secret question. I
Okay.
was training the Royal Thai Army in Bangkok and the U.S. Special Forces at Fort Bragg. And I said, I'm going to teach you the single most important question you could ask. You're under fire. You've been well trained, but if you don't remember what they taught you because you're scared by what's going on, you could get killed. So, what's the most important question you could ask, especially when things are going downhill? And I said, here's the question. What's the next best thing I can do now? Now, why is this happening to me? This isn't fair. I deserve better. You might be right. But guess what? It is happening and it is unfair. That isn't the problem. The problem is, what are you going to do about it? You have to have a goal. Where do you want to be instead of where you are? What do you need to do to get there? Your brain is a computer.
Yep.
Only answers the questions you ask. If you want to get out of and extricate yourself from a bad day or a bad situation, instead of commiserating and saying, why is this happening? It's not fair. And even if you're right, so what?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do about it? What's the next best thing? Not what do I rather be doing? What's the next best thing I can do now? And then your brain comes up with a list of possibilities. It looks at where you are, it looks at where you would rather be, and says, here's about 10 ways you can go from here to there. And you test them. You
Yeah.
don't know which one will work. Maybe none of them will work. Maybe you need more ideas. But if you don't do anything, it's not going to change the situation. If you commiserate, you'll just be depressed and won't be able to do anything. But if you're thinking about what options there are and how to get to the option you need, that can be done too. It's all about where you put your brain and what you're focusing on. You get to choose. Choose
Yes.
wisely because the people who are successful had bad days also. But they made very good choices. That's why they're successful. And if you're not, you may going to look back at some of the choices you made and see where you could have made a different choice. And it's not too late. I'm 76, I'm making changes. I'm
Well,
constantly reevaluating what I'm doing and what would be a better way.
and that's a key distinction of like, okay, this door closed, but this window, that door, they're all opening. And it's like if one door closes, it doesn't mean that opportunity is gone. It's just you chose differently at this point. And the bigger thing is you don't have to keep your choice longer than a second. You can
No,
change again and say,
yes,
"Oh, I picked A. Oh, I should have picked C." Well, change to C. Who's no one's
exactly.
saying you're in quicksand having to stay in A. So,
Exactly. Exactly. That's 100% right. You don't know if the choice you made will work, but you know that it's the choice you made. And then you keep going. You keep trying
mhm,
until the choice works. You go through as many choices as you need. You never stop trying to reach your goal. You may have to go through a different door. You may have to reconsider the goal. I
yeah.
had a very different goal for me in life. I wanted to be a psychobiology professor. And then I found out for every 1,000 PhDs in psychobiology, there were two jobs. So I'm saying, okay, so the odds are 500 to 1 against getting a position in this field. It doesn't sound too promising. I
Well,
said,
yeah.
I said, do you want to spend 5 years going to graduate school and $250,000 for a field that you have one chance in 500? And then with all those people, the income is terrible. Because if you say no to a bad income, one of the other 499 people say, yeah, I'll do it for that. So there's no upside to it. So I said, I got to go through a different door. And I did. I used what I learned to build programs on how to use the brain and learn faster and better. And it was much more profitable. It made more than any professor on earth in that field ever made. And it was the right choice. But it was a different door than the one I envisioned. But I still did psychobiology.
Yeah. But I also want to bring it back to so when you're in that transition without even knowing it, going from teaching to doing these courses, so you can teach all of us how to embody what we're learning. Like it was the black and white realization of I can teach, get worried about getting killed every day, or I can do this for 3 hours and make more than I did in a week.
And that's what happened. I was
Yeah.
making more money on a Saturday teaching my class and selling product than I made in a month teaching in a school. And I'm like, well, where do you want to put your time? Do you want to work for 3 hours and make a month's wages or work a month and be drained of all your energy? I says, which direction you think matters makes more sense. And it wasn't hard to decide. Do I want people threatening to kill me and violent and don't want to learn, or I want to spend my time with adults who love what I'm doing and enjoy it and spend a fortune on what I'm doing? I said,
Hmm.
which one works better for me?
And
That was an
and you
easy door to pick.
I know, but you talk about the swimming and the swimmer has to be ready to jump in the water,
They
right?
can't
And
go in the
those
water, they
adults,
can't swim.
I know, and those adults are showing up saying, "I am ready. I want to learn."
And I
Right?
could teach
Because
them in one day.
they probably went through the school system and got lost in the shuffle and said, "Well, I graduated, but I don't know anything."
And they're not wrong. The school system is not designed to make you successful. I can tell you the root. Why is there free education? Because when the Industrial Revolution started, the majority of people worked on farms and
Yeah.
they need factory workers. So school, the bell rings and you start. The bell rings, you go to lunch. The bell rings, you come back. The bell rings, you go home. So you go to a factory. The bell rings, you start. The bell rings, you go to lunch. And you don't question. School is shut up and listen. It's not, I don't think you're right, teacher. No, that isn't a good strategy in a school. I think you're wrong. No. So what's in business? You do what you're told. You keep your head down and you wait for the bell and then you go home. And that's why they had school. It taught you enough to be able to read and write well enough to learn how to make the machine work and not enough to build your own factory. And
Hmm.
that was exactly what they wanted. People who could do the jobs that needed to be done, but not question authority and make change and take control over their own lives. And if you look at the early industrial revolution, people were not treated well.
Hmm.
They worked like animals until the unions came along. 7 days a week, dusk till dawn, got paid just enough to pay rent, buy food. God forbid you got sick, they fired you. There
Hmm.
was nothing. It was all about the company, nothing for you. And unions made a difference, and people got a 5 day week, and they got health care and other things. It wasn't done because they liked you. It was done because if people went on strike, they lost money. So it turned out to be cheaper to pay people a salary and take care of them. But it wasn't done because they wanted to do that.
Hmm.
It's done because they didn't have any other option. And
Hmm.
sometimes you have to take a stand, but school is not teaching you to think for yourself. School is
But the
about,
Yeah, but I mean, it's only the factory workers, the union workers that actually got that. Like all companies didn't do that, and that's
well,
what's
5 days a week became standard. It
well,
wasn't
yeah, but I
seven.
mean, even like even nowadays, like I'm still like miffed at the fact that women don't have a right to have
No,
maternity
no, they
leave.
don't. No, no, they don't. Oh, in America, they don't have a right to decide whether they want a baby or not. In the state of Texas, if a woman decides she doesn't want to be pregnant and she goes to New York to have an abortion, she could be prosecuted for leaving the state. So she's
Jesus.
doing something that's legal in New York. It's not a crime in New York. It's a crime in Texas. It's like if marijuana is illegal in Texas, but you go to Colorado and you get high, and when you come home, they're not going to prosecute you for getting high in Colorado. It was legal. You didn't do anything wrong when you were there, and you're not doing it where you live. The same thing. She's going to another state to make a health decision that they don't approve of, and a lot of people would agree with that decision to not let her go. But she went because she's free to go anywhere she wants. And now they're going to prosecute that she went to another state to do something legal there. And when she comes home, anyone who helped her could be prosecuted. They'll
Which
prosecute
is
the doc.
so
Yeah,
wrong.
that's the law. This is just the world we live in. It's an imperfect world. If you want to change it, you elect other people who don't agree with that and agree with some. And if you agree with what they're saying, and apparently in some places they do enough that they keep electing people who agree with it, and that's a choice. They could vote these people out and put other people in, but they don't because the majority in that area feel the same as the law. It
I
doesn't
know,
mean
but you think about that student at 15 who has three kids, not by love, not by marriage, by predators, and she couldn't do anything about it. She had to
nothing.
keep on letting it happen.
Yes, might have had more. Who said it
Like it's
stopped at
just,
three? There's no guarantee three was the top. It could have been four or five
I
before.
know.
It's not the world a lot of people think it is.
No,
I
it's a
see
messed up world. We gotta change it.
there's a lot going on that, thank God a lot of people aren't aware of. They don't have to live with that. But a lot of these kids, this is their world. And it's a very, very violent world and a very dangerous world. At least well, my school, and I know this isn't typical, the school I worked in had a 2% graduation rate. And I volunteered to help. And the principal said it's not in the curriculum. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do to ruin your numbers? You got a 98% failure rate, but he's the principal. So I'm in my class, I'm teaching biology, and one of my kids says, I don't know how to do the homework. I said, well, all the answers are in the book. He says, I don't know how to find the answers. So it's the book I gave him in biology, and I'm showing him how to find the answers to the homework questions. And the principal walks in. He says, what are you doing? And I told him, he asked me to show him how to find the answers to the homework questions in the biology book. He says, I told you not to teach learning and you didn't listen. And he wrote down I wasn't working. I wasn't doing my job. I was teaching learning. I was teaching how to do homework in biology in a biology class in the biology book that the class was using, and I was written up for not working, for not doing my job, as if I was sleeping or doing nothing. That was a write up.
Wow.
I was written up for that. I quit that term. That was it for me. I said, I can't work in this place. This is unconscionable. And they closed it. Not because I left, but because nobody graduated. They eventually shut the school down. They said, there's nobody graduating. Why do we even have a building with teachers? 98% dropout rate. You guys, we need a different system for these kids. It isn't working.
So where did
So
all those students end up?
I was gone at that point.
No,
I
but
I
like
left.
they closed the school, so do they get put into
Can't
other
answer
school?
that. I wasn't involved. I moved out of New
Wow.
York City after that. I quit my job and moved out of the city. I was done. It was it was depressing. I really did care. I tried to help. I wanted to help. And and the kids were hard enough, but when the faculty and the head of the school won't let you do your job properly. If a student asks for help doing homework in the course you're teaching, in the book you assign them, and you're written up that that's not your job, how are you supposed to do anything in that kind of environment? It's impossible. No wonder nobody learned, and I just couldn't be
Ah.
part of. I couldn't be part of that. It made me feel I can't live with myself, knowing I'm destroying these people instead of building a future for them that I could do.
Hmm.
And I
So
did, and I did in my school. I did do that.
I'm glad we're getting back to your school because I want to get back on the positive of yeah, we can change people. Like
Yeah, yeah,
people
absolutely.
have to people have to show up at your door when they're ready and then you're there to teach or share or whatever.
Yes. I'll give you a good story on that. We had a girl starting high school and they put her in special ed. She had third grade reading in ninth grade. And they basically said, you'll learn how to tie your shoes all by yourself. And you will be able to button your shirt. And if you're really, really good, you'll get to say, welcome to Walmart. That was her career options. And her mother and her came to my school crying, my daughter, help her. This isn't the future we want. And we said, well, we'll give you what needs to be done, but you need to work really hard to get, and your mother's gonna have to help you for this to work. So when we
Hmm.
got done with her, this is what happened. So she finishes high school and 2 years of college with a 4.0 when the kids in the high school that she was starting to go with first got out of high school. She jumped ahead all the high school and 2 years of college, got a full scholarship to Baylor, had an A average, and got a master's degree at 22. And this is the special ed student. What changed? We taught her how to learn. And if you'd like, let's spend some time on that. How do you learn? How
Hmm.
do you understand? And I think we talked a lot about problems. Let's talk a little about the solutions.
Yeah. I like solutions. So how
And
does your school like if someone is listening to this and they're interested, other than getting a hold of you, like how tell us more about your school. Who's
the
it?
school's gone. I moved out
Oh,
of Texas. I moved to
oh.
Florida. I'm in Florida now. But they can read my email is Mr. Reader, MrReader at MSN.com. It's easy. Mr. Reader, MrReader at MSN, which is Microsoft I also have a free book if they like it. It's howiebook.fun and it's free. And it teaches secrets to learning. So that's a gift for anyone who wants it. What I did differently, I use reading to find what I need to learn, and I'm teaching people how to know what they need to learn. Don't waste time learning things you never need to know, which is a lot of what people do now. Okay, now you found it, but you didn't understand it. How do you learn things that confused you?
Hmm.
Strategies for making this isn't reading anymore. Now it's like, "Oh, I read the calculus book. I have no idea what I just read. I read the organic chemistry book. I don't know what that means. You got to learn it. So what do you do now that you read it and it made no sense? You got to
Hmm.
have strategies for it to make sense. I teach that. Now you understand it. Do you need to remember it? If so, here's memory strategies so you don't forget in 5 minutes. You can remember it when you need it. And then, big one, emotional intelligence skills. So you don't get nervous taking the test and forget everything you learned. I teach you to drive. You're ready for a road test and you fail. Why'd you fail? I got nervous. It was a test. What if I also taught you to stay calm during the test? How many more successful students would I have? And in business, are you teaching people how to create the state they need to do what you're telling them? If they're in the wrong state, even though you gave them the right information, they're nervous, they're anxious, they don't remember what you told them. They're not going to get results and they're going to blame you. And
Hmm.
what did you do to fix it? So I'm teaching companies how to make information sticky. You don't just tell them what they need to do, but how to remember it when they get home. You're not just telling what they need to do, but how to be in the right frame of mind to do it correctly when you need to do it. Emotional intelligence, these things all combine. Now you got a system for learning, even technical things like chemistry, accounting, very high level. And of course, if it can work on a high level, it'll work on easy stuff even better because there's no challenge reading easy material. But the real challenge of going to medical school, law school, I had someone who failed the bar over and over again. I taught him how to learn. They passed the bar. Another one was going for Microsoft certification. They didn't speak two languages, they spoke four languages. English was their fourth language, and they failed. Taught them how to study, taught them how to think, taught them how to learn. They passed the test that they failed four times. It's about learning to learn, and that's what I do. I teach how to learn. And if you'd like, I could do some demo with our audience to get them started.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how to read about 20–40% faster in 90 seconds.
Okay.
When this is over, pick a book you've read, a book that's easy to understand. And the reason I want that, I want to make sure the only thing that confuses you is when you're reading too fast, not because the book is too hard. So if you're
Okay.
reading organic chemistry, you don't know any chemistry, there's a reason you're confused. It's really hard. And if you read it slowly, it would still make no sense for a lot of people. So pick a book that you totally understand. Now there's only one reason you're confused. You went too fast. That's how you know you went too fast because you're confused and you shouldn't be because you already understand it.
Hmm.
Take a minute. Maybe you have a smartphone and you have a smartwatch, time yourself for a minute. Go to the first chapter of the book and see how far you get. Read normal, nothing special. At the end of the minute, take a pen or a pencil. If it's your book, put a little notch in the margin where you finish. That's how far I read now in a normal minute. That's what I can do. Now, the magic. Go to the next chapter. You're going to take your hand and go across one line at a time with your eyes following your hand. And this is the key as fast as you can comprehend. If you know what you're reading, go quicker and quicker and quicker till you don't. And when you don't, that's when it was too fast. That's why you want a book that you understand. You say, I don't know what I'm reading anymore, and I should. So you slow down just enough that you start understanding. And for 5 minutes, use your hand one line at a time. Keep the eye moving. Don't stop. As fast as you can understand. Not faster, not slower. After 5 minutes, go back to the first chapter where you timed yourself for a minute and time yourself again. Use your hand to go as fast as you can comprehend. And that little mark, you're going to pass it by 20 to 40%. Just doing that one single change. That's why
Wow.
HowieBook.fun has a lot of strategies like that in it. And it's free, there's no charge. And then I'll give you another strategy. People say, "Oh, well, how do I remember anything?" And you're reading 80 pages a minute. How do you remember? There's a lot of ways to memorize. I'll show you one out of many. And different ones work differently for different people. And different, what you do to learn a language may not work in a science book. What you do
Hmm.
in a science book may not work in the newspaper. So I give them a tool chest, different things you could do, which one works for you in that subject. So I'm going to give you 10 things to remember. And for our audience, don't write this down. I'm going to have you speed memorize this in 3 minutes.
Oh no, we're
No, effortless,
recording.
effortlessly. 3 year olds do this. 3 year olds. It's that simple. Won't seem that way, but it is. You want to remember pole shoes, tricycle, car, glove, gun, dice, skate, cat, and bowling pins. How many of you can repeat the list backwards and forwards effortlessly? I'm going to say no one. In 3 minutes, you'll know this list backwards and forwards effortlessly. Here's the trick. The ancient Greeks discovered you can learn a list by linking it to one you know already.
Hmm.
I'm going to bet if you're watching us, you can count to 10.
Hmm.
That means the numbers are already in your memory. And what do you do with things that are hanging? You hang things on them. We're
Yeah.
going to hang those 10 things you want to remember on 10 numbers you know already. One more important point. When I ask you to say it aloud, do that. It'll lock it in. This isn't the drill. This is
Okay.
a tool you'll use for the rest of your life. But if you don't remember it, it won't help you. So when I say repeat it the way I'm asking, do that and it will work. So the first thing is the number one. The number one looks like a pole, like a
Okay.
flagpole. Or, oh, I see the lighthouse. Looks like a lighthouse. The number one, it's a pole. So when I say one, say pole. One.
Pull.
Great. Two is shoes. That's how many shoes you wear. What's two?
Shoes.
What was one?
Pull.
Great. Three is a tricycle. 3 wheels on a tricycle. What's three?
Tricycle.
What was two?
Shoes.
What was one?
Pull.
You get smarter. Four is a car. There's 4 tires on a car. What's four?
Car.
What was two? Two.
Shoes.
One.
Pull.
Three.
Tricycle.
See how it's working? Five is a glove. There's 5 fingers in a glove. What's five?
Glove.
What was three?
Tricycle.
One.
Pull.
There's six gun. They love them in Texas. They're cowboys.
Okay.
Six gun. What's six?
S- Six gun.
Four.
Car.
Two.
Shoes.
Great. Lucky seven and dice. I know there's a casino up there. Lucky seven and dice. What's seven?
Dice.
Five. Giving you a clue.
Glove.
Three.
Tricycle.
One.
Pull.
Rhymes work. Say eight. Skate.
Eight. Skate.
What's eight?
Skate.
What was six? What did they love in Texas?
Lucky gun.
They love the guns.
Okay.
Four.
Car.
Two.
Shoes.
We're almost done. Nine. How many lives does a cat have?
Nine.
What's nine?
Cat.
Lucky seven. What game?
Dice.
Five.
Glove.
Three.
Tricycle.
One.
Pull.
10. How many bowling pins are in the alley, in a bowling alley? How many bowling pins?
10 pins.
10 bowling pins. What's 10?
10 pin.
What was one?
Pull.
What was two?
Shoes.
What was three?
Tricycle.
What was four?
Car.
Five.
Glove.
Six. Texas.
Guns.
Lucky seven.
Dice.
Eight rhymes with
Oh.
eight. Skate.
Skate. I was like,
Eight skate.
ah.
Okay. Nine. Nine lives.
Cat.
10.
Pins.
You just learned how to speed learn numbers. Let me show you how to do it. Each of these is a picture.
Yeah.
The number zero is the 10 bowling pins, everything on 1 to 9. So let's imagine you're in a hotel and your room is 314. How many times when you got to the lobby, you didn't know what number the room was anymore? So we'll make pictures. Three is what picture? What's three?
Tricycle,
What's one?
pole,
What's four?
car,
A tricycle hits a pole on a car.
car.
See that in a movie. A tricycle hits a pole on a car. Tricycle, what number?
3,
Hits a pole
1,
on a car.
4.
That's your hotel, tricycle pole car. It's also pi in geometry to
Right.
learn a circle. So now you know how to learn numbers for science, for math, business, percentages, due dates, phone numbers. Remember the zeros, the 10 bowling pins. Now you can speed memorize numbers. That's how easy the whole program is. I
That's
make it
amazing.
and fun and fun. Isn't that fun?
Yes. So don't quote me, but I think this is kind of part of Dale Carnegie's stuff
Um, he does
because
some of it. I actually have a couple of hours on memory, not just one thing. I don't have a whole, I'm not doing a 9 hour program right now. I'm
no,
just
no, but
giving,
I'm just saying, like, if I remember right,
it's called
like he
pegging.
was, but it was like trying to remember names when you're in networking,
Yes, yes,
right?
it's called
Steve with
pegging.
long sleeves
Yeah,
and
yes, yes.
yeah,
And it's one system. There's many
yeah,
systems.
yeah,
And in my full program, I don't do just this. I do many different systems because what helped you learn Spanish may not work in science. What
yeah,
helped you learn science may not help you remember a novel. So we need different tools for different people and different subjects. What you use in science, I may use in language. What I use
yeah.
in language, you may use in a newspaper. We're all different. The
Hmm.
system should adapt to you, not
Hmm.
you. I don't say, this is how Howard does it. Do it like me. No, you're not me. Do it like you. Here's the choices you have. Let's see which one works best for you and then use it for you because it's the way your brain wants to learn, the way your brain, and you're correct. I mean, I've read a lot of stuff from different people, came up with my own stuff as well, and I took the best of everything I could find and then put it together and made a new program. And that's how it works. So I'll give you one more thing comprehension. People often say, what do I learn? You ever been in a book? You're like, I don't know what to learn. It's just so much to learn. What am I looking for? What if I told you you only have to learn five things?
Okay.
Five, would you like to know what they are?
Yes.
The first thing is vocabulary, the words. 80% of a new subject is words,
Okay.
vocabulary. The
Okay.
second thing is names. Who's in your book? Why are they there? What does this person do that got them in a book?
Yeah.
Third thing is any number. It could be a number, a date, a statistic, a formula. It's a digit. It's not words. It's a number. What does it mean or how do I use it? Could be a date. It could be a formula.
Hmm.
The fourth thing, and particularly nonfiction books, there's headings and subheadings. They're
Hmm.
like file folders. They break up the data into chunks of meaning that connect in some way. What are the five main ideas in every section? It could be more. Usually there's at least five. What are the five things you should remember here that are the most important things to know? And the last one, and this is a big one, any questions and answers. Most of the textbooks, there's a question at the end of the chapter. And what happens, you read 40 pages, there's
Hmm.
30 questions, you don't know any answers. You gotta go back and find the answers. What if you read the questions first and you knew what you were supposed to know before you missed it? And what would happen when you found something you knew you had to know? Your brain would prioritize it. So the questions and answers. So if you know every word and what it means, every person and what they did, every important number or statistic, five big ideas in every section, and all the questions and answers, what would happen? And I'll tell you what happened. We took a group of kids, 11 to 15, very young. We gave them a 30 chapter book in lifelong developmental psychology, which is a sophomore college class. And
Hmm.
they're 11 to 15 years old. So it's a sophomore college class.
Hmm.
30 chapters. In 1 week, they finished the book
Hmm.
and they took the CLEP, which is an AP test. Out of 18 students, 15 got full college credit in a week on a sophomore college class. That's how my
Wow.
students finish high school with 20 to 40 college credits. I'll give you an example. So take American history. Like, who was the first president of the United States? And everyone say George Washington. And that's what you learn in American history. Now you're in college and you're in American history. Who's the first president of the United States? George Washington. What's different? It's the same answer. No, it's $5,000 in college. It was free in high school. So what if you did the high school program, learned the system, and then bought a college book, and you have to learn this much more? You learn this in high school. You learn who's the first vice president or the secretary of state, a couple more wars, a few more inventions, and now you know the college level. You take the AP test in college American history in high school, you pass it, you're done with American history before you even get to college. So a lot of my students started college as sophomores and on full scholarships because they were doing this in all their courses. One student, 10 years old, did high school biology in 1 week. I said, what did he learn? Our tests were essays. No fill in the blank, no multiple choice. You have to explain your answer. So you can't make up an answer. You got to know the answer. Here's two questions out of the 300 essays. Explain the genetic code and how it works. What's a mitochondria? If you're 10 years old and you could do 300 of those essays in a week and get three wrong, you're done with high school biology.
Yeah.
And my school had nothing to do with time. Regular school is a year of first grade. You can get a D and you go to second grade. And you get a D, you go to, and what happens, they get to high school, they can't read, write, or count. They never learned it. In my school, there's only one grade, an A. You don't go to the next lesson, let alone the next course, till you got an A on that one. And we make you do it over, and it's all essays, over and over and over. And we give you clues, but we never, ever give you the answer. You'll never learn to think if someone gives you the answer. We give them information to put the pieces together, make more and more puzzle pieces till the puzzle makes sense to their brain. They're learning to think.
Hmm.
They're learning. So at the beginning, it takes time. They don't know how, and they struggle. And then they're learning how to think and learning how to think. And then when we're done, they're doing college courses in a week. It's not hard. They've learned how to think. They know what to look for. They know where to find it. They know how to remember it. I do this with companies. Companies have a big problem. There's too much information that they have to use and they can't learn it fast enough. If I teach them how to learn it quicker and better, they make more money, they make fewer mistakes, better information, better decisions. It's not speed reading, it's knowledge management. Companies don't want speed reading, but they
Hmm.
know knowledge management's where all the money is. And this is about connecting the dots, innovating, making new techniques, new technologies. You have to learn to do that, and it's changing continuously. How do you stay on top of that and do new things at the same time? You have to learn faster and smarter and
Hmm.
better. And seniors, you stay mentally fit. HowieBook.fun. That's free. I'm not charging for it. HowieBook.fun.
Well, so I want to go back to you don't have the school anymore, but is it still around? You
No,
just don't own it?
no. It's a long story. I'll
Okay.
just say that the person I worked with had Asperger's. And if you're
Oh,
familiar with Asperger's, it's not someone who should be working with kids.
right.
Brilliant man. Two PhDs at the same time, but didn't know how to talk to children. He didn't understand emotions. And he was a major in the military. And for him, the kids were, they're in boot camp. And they're not in boot camp, they're in school. And he talked to them like they were, he made the drill sergeants cry at boot camp. and he
Yikes.
treated the kids like he treated the sergeants. And I said, you can't talk to children like that. They're children. He
Hmm.
didn't he doesn't understand emotion. That's the disease. It's a disease. It's a form of autism. They don't understand other people's feelings, and you can't explain it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this isn't going to work because you're going to have a problem with a family one day. And it's not going to go well. You're going to make a parent really angry and you don't have any control. I can't stop you. No one can talk to you. And so we walked away. It was, I got out. I had to. Of course,
Which is too bad because,
something did happen, but that was
sorry?
after I left, stuff happened, but that is why I left. It was impossible. I felt bad because it was going so well with the kids, but I said, why don't you just do curriculum and mark grades and teach? Just don't talk to kids and their parents. You don't have the personality for it. You're treating them like they're in the military and you're the general and they're the private. I said, that's not how business works. I said, and you need empathy. You need to listen to people's. You're not doing that. You're giving orders, like, and they must obey them. And I said, it doesn't work like that in the real world. He imagine telling a parent, no wonder your kid's stupid. He's just like you. He's lazy like you are. This is the
He said
person.
that?
Imagine people signing your checks for your kid to go to school, and the guy running the school says your kid's as bad as you are. They're also lazy and stupid. You can't say that to a parent. You should
Especially if
say
they're paying your paycheck.
we're having some challenges. Let me tell you what's happening. Maybe you could help us get through to your kid better. That's the right way. Your kid's an idiot like you.
It's
And
just
I was like, no,
Texas how
don't.
they like their guns.
But he didn't understand. He had a disease. It's a disease. He didn't
Yeah.
know any better. You can't. It wasn't his fault. It's just that he was doing the wrong job for someone with that mental situation. Perfect for the other thing, but not for that. And because he needed to have power, he couldn't give it up. But that's also part of the disease. So
Yeah. So in the show notes, I'll have the howabook.com and the Mr. Reader.
that fun.
Oh, dot com.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because it's
I'm
fun. It's a
I'm
book
sure
on
you
how to
put
learn faster.
I'm sure you put it in the show notes fine for me. I just copied it down wrong. Um, and this has been such an insightful conversation.
Thank you.
And I'm sad that school's still not going, but this is this
I'm
is
still doing it though. I'm still
you're
working.
still doing it in different
Yeah,
ways.
yeah. I just now I have online courses. I tutor. I work with
Okay.
individuals. I work with companies. I help them develop brain-friendly information so their customers understand clearer what they're saying. The people in the business, when they teach them new things, they remember what they learned at the training. It's not like, well, we had good donuts and I made a few friends 3 weeks later. They actually know what you taught them 3 weeks later, 3 months later. You taught them for a reason. And if they don't remember what they learned, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and this has been fabulous because um as a person who always had the learning challenges, um I love every little tidbit that helps me learn better and faster. And my biggest thing with school was that I was like, we're never going to use this in real life.
I got a story in Calgary. I taught at the university many years ago, and one of my students had a brain injury. They were in a Jeep, and the Jeep rolled over and crushed their brain.
Hmm.
Half of their brain was dead. When you do an
Hmm.
only one hemisphere of their brain was functioning. They only had half a brain, and they were at the college, and it was really hard. Half a brain.
Hmm.
They took my class. In 4 hours, they read 100% faster, remembered it and understood it, and they wrote down, "You've changed my life." I
Wow.
had half my brain destroyed in an accident, and you just showed me how to use the other half and fix the problem. That's why I do it. I
Yeah.
mean, those stories, they matter to me. I mean, look what, I mean, how could you not want to do something like that to make a difference in someone's life when you can?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what keeps, I'm young, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm 76 next month, but I do it because I care about what
Well,
happens.
and that's the thing too, right? Because everyone gets what they need, and I love the fact that you were guided to go to a drama class
It learns
because it helped you expand into who you are.
exactly. And so many of the things I took water safety, one
Hmm.
credit gym course. 18 years later, I'm in a pool swimming. I'm not the lifeguard. Still a water safety instructor. And I noticed the guy next to me isn't moving right. And I go over, he was dead. He had a heart attack and died in the pool. I wasn't the lifeguard. I just know what to look for because I teach lifeguards. And there's only two people in the pool, me swimming and the dead guy. And the
Oh
lifeguard's
my.
sitting there. I'm like, how could you not see this? The guy's dead. He's not moving.
He
That's
probably
what we
didn't want
train you to
to.
do. His face is down in the water. Don't you think that after a few minutes that something's maybe wrong? So I screamed at the kid, get in the pool. The guy's dead. We've got to get him out. It's very heavy. They're very heavy when they drown. I said, we're going to pull him out, and I'm going to do the compressions. You're going to do the breathing because they
Yeah.
throw up. And I'm not getting paid. You are. I said, so I'm doing the compressions. He's doing his heart started. He didn't have no any pulse. And he threw up and he started to breathe. And we saved his life. And that's
Wow.
from a one credit gym course, a one credit gym course that no one wanted to take because in college you had to take gym and it saved someone's life 15, 16 years later. It's amazing the things that we can use in life that we thought were worthless when we learned them. If you remember and can use them, I was fortunate. I remembered what I needed to do and did it right. There was no book. How do you do heart compressions? You either do it right or the guy stays dead.
Hmm.
I did it right. And that's what people need to learn how to do in their lives. They need to learn what they need and remember it when they need to use it. And that's what I teach.
Well,
HowieBook.fun.
and that's why you gave the question, what is the next best thing I can do right now?
That's the single most
Right?
important question you could ask in your life. Because I bet if you ask that, you'd start seeing things you didn't think of before.
But
And
then
now
I
your
would
life
also question the pool that you were swimming at about their lifeguards.
wasn't me. I did my job. I
No, I
wasn't
know, but
even
where was he
working.
looking?
Didn't matter. I did my job.
Yeah.
That's life also. If other people around you are screwing up, you can blame them or you can do what you need to do right anyway,
See, and
despite
it's
what's
that.
going on, because there's chaos in the world. Let's be honest. If you're going to focus on the chaos, you're part of the problem. Focus on being part of the solution, and things can get. My goal is to make a better world for making people smarter. I can't fix all the problems, but
Mhm.
the people who do what I teach them get smart enough that they can fix the problems in what they do. And that can
Well,
make a big impact on a lot of other people.
and that's really important, especially as this solstice day that this is being recorded.
Yes.
Um, it's no more. It's no more their problem. Everything is our problem, and we have to come home to us to fix
You're the
our.
problem solver.
Yeah,
Stop whining and complaining about what's wrong in the world. Make a difference.
yeah. Because yeah, the like the outside movie makes no difference. You got to come home to you and figure out what your next step is for
Only you
everything.
can make the choices in your life.
Hmm.
You can complain about what's stopping you, or you can work past it.
Hmm.
And I grew up in the worst part. I mean, we lived in a project. When we moved because they raped an 88-year-old man. That's how bad the environment was where I grew up.
Wow.
Okay, that's how bad it was. It was that violent. And despite that, I turned out okay because I focused on what I had to do, not on what was wrong, on what could I do. what the next best thing I can do. That's what everyone needs to do. If we all did that and we learned how to learn and understand and remember and master things that are challenging and learn new skills, we'd all have a better life. And I'm hoping people will take advantage and give me the opportunity to do that for them.
Well, I could talk to you all day long. You're the
Okay.
most inspiring. Um, yeah, just full of life. Like, yeah, it's just made my
Thank you.
day.
I'll come back and I'll teach you how to write a book in a day. That was another. I did my last book I wrote in 5 hours. It went #1 on Amazon.
Without
In
ChatGPT?
no, that was me. No, no AI.
Well, no, that's awesome because
No, I
everyone goes,
used AI
"Oh, it's
and
easy to write a book. You use
no, with
AI," and I'm
AI, I
like,
can do a book in 40 minutes with AI
"Wow."
from scratch.
You, okay. I'm just gonna say this is Authentic Conversations with Adele. Today's guest was Howard Berg. What a delight. I hope you listen to this, you take the notes. This has been awesome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, everybody.
Wow. Howard Berg. What an absolute delight. His knowledge, his freedom to teach easily, just the little few exercises that we did in this episode. I hope you guys will take them, learn them, understand them. We also have in the show notes his free offer of um, the book, and you can follow him. And I hope you do because he's teaching what other people have no idea what to do. If they can take a person who had an accident, only has half a brain, to get straight A's in college by using their brain differently and more functioning than the brain they had before the accident, I don't know. That's something to listen to. And if you want to know more about me, Adele Bernard at Transition Clarity, about the men's program of the circle that where you can come in and share what's on your heart without judgment, without shame, a true place to truly be yourself because you're doing the work. Let's just step it up a notch, just like how Howard was saying, right? Read the questions in the book before you read the chapter. Maybe biology won't be that hard of a class anymore. Anyways, it's been lovely. Please subscribe, share, like, comment. We'd love to hear from you. And if you like this episode, please share it with all your friends because this is where the true learning happens. Until next time, have a great day.